My amplified unit, top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Salute and welcome to the Amped Up Podcast for Wednesday, July the 5th, 2023. If you are stateside, hopefully you guys enjoy your Independence Day, July the 4th. But it is time to move on. Business rolls on. In today's podcast, we have to talk about what might be an uncomfortable conversation for many of you. Now, full transparency, BC is not in the best of moods today, early this morning. A lot of business. This is my first coffee of the morning. Hopefully my mood gets better, but there's no guarantees. But that said, that's just full transparency. Even in the mood that I'm in, and there's no particular reason, I'm running on no sleep, and I've had nothing but 24 hours of straight business to attend to, and the next several days looks like the same forecast. But that's fine. That's fine. I work very well in this type of mood. But that's just full transparency because even in a bad mood, I am going to show the entire wrestling world, especially my amplified unit, just how fair I truly am. Just how fair I am when you say I just bash Paul Levesque, Schnoz McGee, right? As if for the 6 years I've had this channel, I have not ripped apart Vincent Kennedy McMahon, but let's just act like I didn't. You're going to see just how fair I am in this conversation that needs to be had. And I won't tease you on what the conversation is about. You see the thumbnail, you see the headline. It's Austin Theory, and it goes beyond the championship that he's been holding. Literally just holding. It's an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people, I understand. Maybe you really like Austin Theory. There's so much potential there, you believe, right? I hear you. We all saw that, or at least thought we did. Now, we have to have the conversation. Yeah, if you know what I mean. That's what's going to have to be had today. There's no other way to do this. SummerSlam is upon us. It's in 4 weeks. From Saturday, literally 4 weeks. The title can't stay on him. You know this. There's a guy who has been being fed dirt. Every time he turns around, a new pile of dirt being dumped on him. It is time to finally catapult the guy who's super over that you just did done dirty again because you didn't want him going for the world title. Is he at least deserving for a mid-card title? You guys know who I'm talking about. Yeah! And we're going to talk about it. Also, LA Knight, Ricochet. You saw what happened at Money in the Bank. It was a horrible botch. Now, a little bit of this is for their storyline. There's going to be a match. Logan Paul and Ricochet, SummerSlam. If you don't know, now you know. Spoiler. They're already working on it. They already started. They kicked it in the high gear after Money in the Bank. Filming a segment backstage where they're brawling, and they showed that on Monday Night Raw. Now, Logan Paul. Now, some of this is if you take a listen to his podcast, man, the clips that I always hear, it's always him just like telling the truth, and then WWE will skew it into the storyline. So, while everybody's gonna say, well, this is to help the storyline, BC, there's no question. But listen to his words; they're all truthful. He didn't lie. If you watch it back, everything he says about Ricochet in that match was actually accurate. And Logan Paul doesn't know how to really tell those type of lies. He just tells the truth and he deals with it later. Wait till you hear what Logan Paul says about Ricochet. About that, in his words, dangerous spot and how he ruined the match. We're going to go into Logan Paul. Logan Paul ripped Ricochet to shreds. But there's a silver lining in what he said about Ricochet. It also shows you what a professional Ricochet is. which is irony because storyline-wise, he does say how unprofessional he believes Ricochet is. We'll go over all of it, man. I don't want to confuse you. I'm going to give you the exact quote. He rips Ricochet apart. It's very interesting, man. You go back, and there wasn't too many lies detected. And I'm going to go over the super thankses from my last upload, the Monday Night Raw review, which was yesterday on the 4th. You guys came rocking, man, chucking coffees at the channel. So I'm going to get a big swig. You guys are going to smash that up. Coming right on back. We got a lot to talk about. Some big topics that need to be discussed. Salute. Let's get amplified. My amplified unit, thank you for allowing me to take down this first coffee. Usually by now, what is it? It's a little past 7 a.m. Usually by now, I got a few coffees already in me, but like I said, just so much business has been piling up, and there's a lot more to come. But as long as I can find a way, whether it's an hour or half an hour, to just any free time that I can free up, it's dedicated to you guys in this channel, man. I will not sacrifice the channel for anything else. This is something we created years ago. It became something special thanks to you guys just as much. And I want to make sure that, if not daily, as close to daily as possible, you guys are getting an amped up podcast. And whenever I can find the time to do that and record these podcasts for you guys, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So it doesn't matter what mood I'm in, right? I'm running on no sleep. Haven't had a full coffee yet. It don't matter. You guys are getting that podcast. And no matter what mood I'm in, you guys are going to get a fair discussion on Austin Theory. This is a conversation that needs to be had. In fact, why make you guys wait another second? Let's start off with that. It's my podcast. I can do it. Let's start off with the big story. We'll get to Logan Paul and what he said about Ricochet. Wait till you hear this. I understand some of this is to push the match, push a story. But wait till you hear what he says, man. He's truly ripping him apart. He's pissed off. We'll talk about it, and we'll also get to the super thankses, man. My amplified unit speaking out in that last upload yesterday on the 4th. My unit members sending coffee over to the channel, and we're going to read and acknowledge those amplified unit members through the super thankses. That's all coming up. I want to start off with the big conversation. Again, we've been holding this off. We've been hoping, right? Patience. Patience is what we are told, right? With certain wrestlers, right? The machine gets behind them. We like them. They're not over. We don't like them that much, but we see some potential. So we wait. Patience. Let the booking take its course. Let them find themselves, right? Cool. And this is what I mean when I say, in the cold open, how fair I am when you think I just bash Paul Levesque, Schnoz McGee, Pinocchio Pussface. No. See, for years, I've been ripping apart Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I was the only podcaster, most likely anyway. Everybody jumped on the Paul Levesque Triple H bandwagon when they heard that Vince was retiring. Everybody threw a party. I was the one who said, whoa, this is smoke and mirrors. Don't you guys see what's happening? Vince never went away. He's not going away. This is all of these legal things came up, and he stepped out of the spotlight. He put a puppet regime, is what it's called, in its place. Stephanie McMahon, his own daughter, his own son-in-law, Paul Levesque, and Nicholas Khan, hand-chosen to be the right-hand man of Vincent Kennedy. Those were it's called the puppet regime. At any moment, if you knew the legalities and all this, at any moment, he can come right back in. He can actually force members out, which he did. I don't think people really understood. All I heard was, nah, BC, it's not that easy, man. Now the board's in control. He's out, BC. Trust me, this is Triple H's baby now. No, it's not. First of all, Triple H isn't going to save anything anyway. Will it be a little better over time? Maybe. Maybe a little bit. Maybe you'll get some old versions of Black and Gold when he used to produce a 1-hour show with masterminds around him. But we're not going to get into that. But if you thought Vince McMahon was gone, no. He never left. It's a puppet regime, right? And I was the first one to tell you when he was absolutely back, like in the weeds, on the weeds, under the weeds, mowing the weeds, just fucking frolicking in the weeds, picking weeds. I was on top of this from day one. And I'm the one who told you from day one that what you're getting, Raw, SmackDown, this is a VKM HHH production. That's why I've always asked you guys, please stop saying bad show, Vince, good show, Paul Levesque. That's done. They're in the same meetings together. If Paul Levesque thinks something is wrong and voices up and gets stomped on, that's his fault from here on out, right? How many times could you be stomped on, shit on, and spit on from your boss before you would walk out? He's a grown man, multi-millionaire, never has to work another day in his life. You're telling me that he just refuses to step out of any position of power, that he is an enabler and an ass kisser. That's what you're telling me, so I can't respect that anyway. Even if Vince is calling all the shots, Paul Levesque I could never respect for staying like that. He's not held captive. He's a grown man, multi-millionaire. He's set for life. No, he chooses to be there. He chooses to have that headline. And I'm told that, no, it's all Vince, BC. No, that's BS. They're both in this together. If you know how to critique these shows, if you've witnessed Paul Levesque shows for years, you see a lot of Paul Levesque in all these shows. And these shows aren't much better, to be honest. You get some good wrestling matches. Did you get them? Did you get longer wrestling matches? Awesome. Does anything make sense? No. Cody and Lesnar, for instance, that's all Paul Levesque. Literally all. Look at the way it's all set up. The multiple beatdowns in one show, that was Paul Levesque's special back in NXT. Black and gold. The backstage beatdown. Then they go into the arena, or start into the arena. Then the backstage. And you've seen it several times. Finn Balor and Sethington Rollins just did that. You can see the blueprint of Paul Levesque. But nothing's really captivating. Nobody was captivated for Sethington and Balor's rematch going into Money in the Bank. And nobody, if you're being truthful, is captivated with Cody Rhodes and Brockton Lesnar. In fact, Brockton Lesnar and Cody Rhodes don't even have a purpose or a reason for why they're even fighting still to this day. That's Paulito Levesque. So you just have to know. That's why I say a lot of people, maybe they see what BC doing and they think, oh, that's easy, man. If I can get a microphone, a camera, I can do podcasts. It's not easy to do what I do because not only do you have to have the gift to gab, be able to entertain, have knowledge of what you're talking about, but you have to literally be able to dissect and critique every aspect of this, from the wrestlers to the segments to mannerisms to selling to ratings, which a lot of people don't want to discuss. But you're going to have to know numbers, statistics, and metrics if you want to do this type of thing. It's not easy. It's not for everybody. In fact, most can't do it. I take great pride in being able to do all of that, dissecting exactly how Vince McMahon produces shows and Paul Levesque. And it's clear they're both in this together on every show I'm seeing. A little bit here of this dude, a little bit over here of VKM, a little bit back to Triple H. Austin Theory, right? Where am I getting at this? Austin Theory. I was the first one to say that is a Vince McMahon project. He never was a Paul Levesque guy. There's certain people Paul Levesque was more than okay, fast and furious, ready to throw over to Vince, right? Lacey Evans or an Austin Theory and so many in between. All right, Vince, you can take them, but don't take X, Y, and Z, right? From NXT. Austin Theory was a Vince McMahon project. He saw the next John Cena. Oddly enough, because of the way he's built and his look and everything, so did a lot of fans. I thought that was unnecessary. You're putting too much pressure on him, A, and B, he has nowhere near the skill level, the talent, the charisma, and the personality of a Jonathan Cena. Nowhere near. But we just had the look, right? Oh, that's the closest to John Cena. We're going to anoint him. And that's what Vincent Kennedy did. And a lot of us like Austin Theory, so we went along with it, right? Okay, no problem. Let's see where it goes. It failed. No doubt it failed. So Paul Levesque came in. And guys, Paul has already admitted this was him. The Money in the Bank botch from last year. So stop blaming Vince on that. Vince just said, I want this guy pushed. And I want you guys to be very clear. This is what I mean about being as fair as fuck. You think I just bash H. Just a bash H. No. I'll tell you right now. That is Vince McMahon wanting him to continue to get pushed. No matter where he's at in the weeds, deep into the weeds or at the surface. At the very beginning of the maze, the weeds maze. Or deep into the maze of the weeds. It doesn't matter. Absolutely, he told Paul Levesque, no matter how you book this dude, I want him pushed. That's how this went down. We know this because we know he's a Vince McMahon guy. Okay? Let's start there. Let me get a swig coffee because I'm gonna dish so much truth right now, man. Just based on facts, not opinion. Okay, so we know he's a Vince McMahon guy. He was handpicked too early. He did nothing in NXT. Can we all agree on that, right? This is what I mean. It's not opinion. Let's all come together with facts. He did nothing in NXT. In fact, he failed the first time when he went to the main roster too early. Vince knew that. Brought him back to NXT, did nothing again. Then came back. But in both stints, did nothing. Again, Paul Levesque, not really fond of him anyway. Vince, you want him? Take him. So, he goes to NXT a couple of times, comes back. Goes to the main roster, okay? So he did nothing. Let's start there. Vince McMahon says, no, I want him back. Hand chooses him back to the main roster. Vince McMahon believed in him so much, if you didn't believe he's a VKM guy, that he started to put himself... Vince didn't want anything to do with TV, guys. He did not want to be on the shows anymore. He put himself into these segments, into storylines with Austin Theory. That's how much he was trying to put him over. Put him at WrestleMania in segments with Stone Cold and such. There's that Pat McAfee, right? Pat McAfee and Stone Cold. Put him at WrestleMania with Vince to try to get this guy over. So we all agree that's a VKM guy. Now, when all this shit went down, Vince McMahon truly is telling the truth when he says he's not in the weeds like he used to be. He's telling the truth. A lot of people don't want to believe that. They think he's calling every shot. Guys, he's not. He understands how old he is now. He understands he can't even do that. And on top of that, you just don't know Vince. He literally is about that bottom penny. Not just the bottom. He's going to suck every penny out of those big conglomerate companies. He doesn't care about the fans, right? He doesn't care about the $20 you're buying for a t-shirt. In fact, WWEshop.com, they're usually giving a t-shirt away for free if you buy one. They don't make money on that. They don't care. You go up to the shows, you pay your little $20 to be in the nosebleeds. They don't make money on that. They're making their money on TV rights deals. USA Network from NBC Universal Comcast. Or Fox over for SmackDown. Or the hundreds of millions of dollars, which will equal billions when it's all said and done, should they renew with countries like Saudi Arabia. The $1 billion they're getting from Peacock Universal. This is where their big money is coming from, and that's where Vince is looking at in the future. More of that. He's still making calls, no question, creatively, but he is literally not in the weeds like he once was. Let's just use his term. It's truth, guys. You don't want to believe that Paul Levesque has a lot more power creatively. He just does. He doesn't just have the title of head creative content officer. He's telling you. After these pay-per-views, a lot of you guys may not know this, they do these media scrums. Paul Levesque literally copied AEW boss, All Elite Wrestling, another wrestling promotion's boss, owner, Tony Khan is his name. And he does these media scrums after their events, their big pay-per-views. Paul Levesque literally copied that same format after the pay-per-views. Now he does this media scrum, which is just podcasters, YouTubers, and such. Reporters, journalists, and he tells you these are his calls. It's not just, it's just my title, man. I'm being overridden on everything. My father-in-law's ripping up all these scripts. Didn't you read the dirt sheets? His fingerprints are all over it. No, he's going out there and he's saying, that was my call. I don't know any other way to tell you. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. You know, sometimes fans are going to be happy, sometimes they're not, but it's my call. So, Vince McMahon's dude, no question. But he told Triple H that's who I want pushed. I don't care how you got to do it. So let's fast forward, right? Let's call this as fair as possible. H, like he does, he gives people back their names, right? That's a plus. It's in some cases I don't know if it's repackaging. I guess it is, because you're redoing your pack, like a Tommaso, right? You get your theme music back. You get a little bit of your identity back, right? LA Knight, man. He got to be LA Knight and no longer Max Dupree. We applaud Triple H for that. Unfortunately, that's where the creativity ends. And that's what happened with Austin Theory. Let's be honest. McMahon said no matter how you do it, just make sure he's pushed. H, I believe, thought he was being creative. He was going to do a repackage, right? I'm going to repackage. And every fan was like, yeah, he needs to be repackaged. No, he doesn't. He had the cell phone gimmick. If there's a personality and a charisma, that would have worked just fine. If you look at Theory now today, it's not that much different than the phone Theory. He just put down the phone, right? It's the same Theory, guys. There was never a repackaging. But this is what we were told. H repackaged Theory. Now we can get behind him. And what did H do? And he said this was his call. He had Austin Theory cash in a Money in the Bank briefcase in the middle of a Monday Night Raw during an open challenge for the mid-card United States Championship. Please fathom everything I just said, right? A Money in the Bank briefcase should be for the world champion, right? We all know that. You'd have to be an idiot not to take your one shot at the world title. Even if you lose, at least you took it on for the world title. That was your one shot. No, Monday Night Raw, United States Championship, and guys, during an open challenge. All he had to do was keep the briefcase and just answer the open challenge. You could not have made this guy look like more of a fool. And then he failed, by the way. He failed. And then a week later, do you know what his excuse for even doing any of that was? He said, well, I was never going to beat Roman anyway. Let's be honest. The guy's unstoppable right now. And there were some fans that went, well, BC is telling no lies. What? You didn't go for the world title. You didn't think you'd beat him. What are you saying you are as a wrestler? You can't beat some of the guys on the roster. But then this is where Paul Levesque didn't think. A few months later, Austin Theory says, I want to be in the Royal Rumble, man. I want to take on 29 other guys. Do you understand what an obstacle that is? How hard it is to win a Rumble? I want to win the Rumble and take on 29 other guys so I can get a shot at Roman Reigns, so I can get a shot at the world champion. What are you... You just said you didn't want him. You avoided him at all costs. You even went for a mid-card title. And now all of a sudden you want to go into the Rumble to win the Rumble to get your world title shot that you already said you didn't want. Guys, you say I'm nitpicking. I'm going with the story that they're telling us. That's all I'm doing. As a fan of a show, any show, you would remember the seasons of and what the characters are doing every season, right? So you're just following the character trajectory of Austin Theory. That's all BC's doing. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. It's really bad. It's making him look awful. Paul Levesque took credit for that. Vince McMahon could not get Austin Theory over. Paul Levesque is not currently getting Austin Theory over. I'll give you guys some stats to prove that, all right? Austin Theory, and they tried like hell. It's just bad creative. It's bad booking. That's what I mean. Paul Levesque has lost the magic of black and gold NXT. It's easy when you have 1 hour of television that's not even TV. You're stuck on the WWE network. You have 1 hour. Nobody's overseeing your shit, but you have masterminds around you more than anything. Dusty Rhodeses and William Regals and so many others. Masterminds. You get to just fly in on your jet and play Papa H and approve all these really good ideas and take the credit. But that's 1 hour. And then pay-per-views were just 5 hours of good wrestling matches. That's an easy format. Vince McMahon did that back in the day. Superstars of Wrestling was the shit. It was 1 hour. It was actually on TV. And it was basically a bunch of jobber matches, but you could not miss it every weekend. It's why we fell in love with WWF back in the day. And at the pay-per-views, you saw some good wrestling matches, or at least matches you actually wanted to see and you would gladly pay your money for. Vince McMahon mastered the same formula. 1 hour of television a week, get some good matches for the pay-per-view. Triple H didn't reinvent the wheel. He just copied exactly what Vince made special. And now here we are. Now H has this vehicle and he doesn't know how to drive it. He's all over the road. He's hitting the barricade. Driving off the road. He's getting towed back on the road. He's getting tickets from the police. Paul Levesque is off the rails. He admits he can't do the third hour of Raw. He literally admitted the third hour he's lost at. But it's clear the second hour he's off the rails. The first hour is hard to obtain for Paul Levesque. So the sad part is, they're just trying to have him win a bunch of matches. They did that with AJ Styles last year before his injury, right? AJ Styles was winning a lot more than he was losing, but his booking sucked. Like you could not, he had nothing. There was no reason to care about AJ Styles. And they were just like, but we're having him win. He's one of the very few individuals that's not 50-50 booked, but nobody cares. You're literally booking him as obscure as possible. He could be losing all of them, and we wouldn't know the difference. Listen to these statistics with Austin Theory. He is 41 out of his last 50 matches with W's. 41 W's out of his last 50 matches, Austin Theory. He's only lost 9 of 50. He has beaten the following individuals within the last year alone. The last several months, really. Sethington Rollins like 1,000 times. With Bobby Lashley. So he's beat Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley 1,000 times. You guys remember that all three of them were just wrestling every week on Raw. Toward the middle to end of 2022. So he's beaten Sethington Rollins 1,000 times, Bobby Lashley 500 times. Austin Theory has beaten Sheamus about 200 times. Sheamus. He has beaten Rey Mysterio. Austin Theory has beaten Edge in Canada. I want you to think about that. Austin Theory has beaten Edge in Canada to try to get this dude over. John Cena was defeated by Austin Theory at WrestleMania. Austin Theory defeats John Cena. And they truly think that that's what it takes to get this guy over. Without a connection and a reason to care, he can beat John Cena, The Undertaker, The Rock, and Stone Cold, bring back Hogan and The Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man from the Great Yonder, all in one match, and it wouldn't put him over. It just wouldn't. Building people means putting the right creativity behind them. Booking them correctly and giving your audience a reason to care. Jumping those individuals off of the TV sets and bringing them to larger than life status. Otherwise, you're average AF, mid AF. And that was fine for a while, playing Austin Theory in the mid AF range. But now it's becoming lower than mid AF. Nobody even knows what he's doing. He's not even on the pay-per-views now. Nobody knows what he's involved with. I believe he's playing around with Pretty Deadly. Maybe. Nobody even knows what the mid-card title holder is even doing, much less caring about it. But he's beaten John Cena at WrestleMania, Edge in Canada, your world champion Sethington Rollins 1,000 times. And you guys realize he's currently on a UK live event tour where he's beating AJ Styles. They're on a loop right now in the UK. I think they're back now. But this whole last week, they were on a live event loop. He was beating AJ Styles. And, in fact, just a few days ago, in a triple threat match, Austin Theory beat AJ Styles and LA Knight. Yeah, in the same match, triple threat, Theory beat LA Knight and AJ Styles. You know, LA Knight, the guy who's probably most over in the company right now. If you take away Sethington's music, his little fucking sing-along, LA Knight's the most over guy. As a heel, by the way. And if you're wondering, LA Knight, who's 10 of his last 50 for W's, 10 wins out of his last 50. You talk about opposite. They're trying to push this dude to the moon via victories. and trying to show us how unstoppable he truly is when there's no connection to Austin Theory. I know that's tough to hear. You may really like him. You see so much potential. Unfortunately, guys, it's not working. And the guy who is super over naturally, he only won 10 matches out of his last 50. He's lost 40 of his last 50, LA Knight. In the last week alone, LA Knight has lost to Santos Escobar, Damien Priest, Austin Theory, Butch. LA Knight lost to Butch. Some of these via fruit roll-up, mind you. Embarrassing losses. And Rey Mysterio, just a few days ago, right after Money in the Bank, everybody thought LA Knight was done so dirty and filthy, because he was. Paul Levesque said, well, let's add some insult to injury, some salt to the wound. He had Rey Mysterio go out there and beat LA Knight at a live event, a nonsensical live event. Just dig in the grave more for LA Knight so that it's going to be much harder to dig out of that and become that super larger than life dude that even casual fans can jump on board and say, he's awesome. The way they're booking LA Knight, it's for a specific fan, right? Because you got those people that go, well, BC, this is the adversity and the struggle that's going to make him more popular. They tried that with Cody. Cody's getting the same reactions he got before Mania. He was always going to get a good reaction for a long time to come. But if you ask anybody that knows the know, Cody Rhodes seems pretty average AF right now, doesn't he? What's he doing? He's still doing the same brawls with Brockton Lesnar. He comes out on Monday night for a 3-second interview. That was the weirdest shit. He's an afterthought. Cody Rhodes going into Mania. And the reactions that still he gets is just another guy. Think about that. Because they did him filthy at Mania. And the casual fan can easily just jump off board. Why is Cody Rhodes special? He's not. LA Knight. Oh, by booking him by losing all the time, BC, he's going to get to the status of larger than life. He's going to be bigger and bigger the more he loses and the more booking fails him. That's not how this works. A certain fan will stick with him, right? Because we'll want to see justice served, due diligence pay off. But everybody else, they're going to go on their merry way, especially in 2023 where fans can be fickle and on to the next anyway. This is just giving them more of a reason. Never would you not have Stone Cold win King of the Ring when it was clear he has to win. In fact, when he won King of the Ring, he catapulted to the next level, didn't he? Just like Theory should have won Money in the Bank because he was already at that level, the Money in the Bank was going to catapult him. Not because the briefcase is hopefully going to enhance somebody like a Damien Priest and get him over. LA Knight was already over. Now you put the briefcase on him and you take it to the next level. Why a company wouldn't want to do that is beyond me. But Vince McMahon hates when he doesn't create you, and Papa H, Triple H, hates when he's not your father figure. And he knows people like Cody Rhodes and LA Knight do not look at him as a father figure. Paul Levesque needs that. Just like Vince, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They both need to know that they created you or that they're your guy. LA Knight. Paul Levesque gave him his name back and then said, sit down on the sidelines. Maybe we'll call you to play in a game one day. No, LA Knight is not anybody's guy. Nobody is his guy. Paul Levesque hates that, just like Vince McMahon hates that. So you got a dude who, the right answer here is just like when Stone Cold was supposed to win King of the Ring because it will take him to the next level, and he did. Vince McMahon said, well, we gotta do it. Even if he was reluctant and he didn't want to, they had to do it. WrestleMania, the Yes Movement, that culmination was at 30. There was no way Daniel Bryan could leave New Orleans at WrestleMania 30 without the title. You guys know that. Could you imagine if they ended that night and Daniel Bryan lost? Stop, man. That would suck the life right out of the wrestling world for a long time to come. No, Vince said, damn it. And Vince didn't want to do this. Vince did not want to push Daniel Bryan. But he said, damn it, put the gold on him. And he won the title, and it was an epic moment. Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 3. I couldn't imagine Vince going, well, what if we just have Hogan lose? You can't. The way the wrestling world was for WrestleMania 3, Hogan had to win. The fans need that, man, for all of us to move on in the right direction. If you know, you know. It's reading the room. It's that feeling. Cody had to win at Mania. You sucked the life not just out of the stadium, you sucked the life out of the wrestling world to the point where even AEW and other promotions felt lifeless for months later. We're still trying to pick up the pieces of the WrestleMania debacle. And Roman goes on vacation for 2 months, comes back into nothing but tag matches, hasn't defended in 4 months. There was no reason for him to have a title. He's right now in a family feud. Nothing Roman has done since Mania calls for him to need a title. Everything Cody's been doing needs a title, especially the Brockton feud. Suck the life out of the... So now you have a point to try. You're not going to get that moment back. That's already a fuck up. But you have another big moment waiting or sitting in your lap, right? You just got to do the right thing. LA Knight. It's his time to go to the next level, and you can skyrocket him once he wins the Money in the Bank. Even the casual fans will hear about it, and they'll start to know L.A. Knight. They'll all say his name, L.A. Knight, yeah. Instead, chokeslammed off the top of the ladder like a fucking goof, and Damien Priest gets it. And now Damien is already out there on Monday getting golf claps and fucking people are sleeping through his segments. So now for every week, Damien Priest is going to come out with a briefcase and say, I can cash in at any time. And nobody's going to care. L.A. Knight doesn't get the briefcase. That's a Paul Levesque decision. Even Vince didn't do that to Daniel Bryan or Stone Cold or Hulk Hogan. This is how Paul Levesque books. He took credit, should have took blame for the Cody Rhodes WrestleMania debacle, and he's got to take the blame for the LA Knight debacle. This is what he does. And it doesn't help them. They're going to stay over for a while, no doubt. We're not just going to jump off the LA Knight bandwagon. The guy's the it right now. He's got the it factor. He's it. You could put 10 briefcases and 7 titles on Damien Priest. He's not going to get the reaction of LA Knight right now. In fact, even in his own clique, Dominic Mysterio is the it factor. He's getting the reaction. It's a botch. Full circle. Let's go back to Austin Theory, right? So that's LA Knight. A guy who is 10 out of his last 50 for wins. Austin Theory is 41 out of 50. It's reversed. One of them lost 40 matches out of his last 50, LA Knight, and the other one won over 40. 1 over 40 of his last 50, Austin Theory. One guy is super over, the other, nobody gives a fuck about. The guy super over is LA Knight, and he's got nothing. The guy who is literally causing people to sleep during the shows, he's Austin Theory. The talk we need to have is it's time to take the title off of him. This is gonna hurt what I'm about to say, man. It's not just take the title off of him. Unit, we have to be honest and say what this is. This is a failure. The Austin Theory experiment behind Vince McMahon's straight up booking and behind Paul Levesque. See how fair I am. Both have tried their attempts. It failed. And that's what I was concerned with John Cena. He really took a gamble. The machine, Vince McMahon and Paul Levesque put John Cena in a room and said, we feel firmly when he beats you, we're going to continue to push him. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that you lose to Theory. It'll not go in vain. You could tell Cena was hesitant. And Cena will tell you in his promos, when he's in there with the guy he's about to face, he will rip them apart. He really wants to see what you're about. And he ripped Austin Theory to shreds with nothing but truth after scathing truth. Do you guys remember that? Live on Monday Night Raw. I think maybe it was SmackDown, but it was live. On television, he ripped Austin Theory. Said, these people, they don't care about you. There's no connection. They have to pipe in booze when you're out here. They pipe in booze. John Cena pulled back that curtain, admitting that they pipe in booze because nobody cares about you. It's not even about you being in my league. You have to try to even get into the game. No pun intended to Paul Levesque. You have to just be in the game. You're nowhere near the league of me. And he was right in that moment. And here we are months after WrestleMania. And he's even more right now. Austin Theory, who is a United States champion, is nothing more than an afterthought on all of these shows. In fact, Money in the Bank went on. I didn't even think about Austin Theory once. I didn't even think about the U.S. title. I forgot about it. Forgot it was a title. Forgot he was a wrestler. That's sad. That's not shade. I'm giving you guys as much truth as I can possibly dish to you right now. He's an afterthought with 41 victories out of 50. Beating Edge in Canada and John Cena at Mania and your world champion Sethington 1,000 times. Rey Mysterio, a legend, and so many others. And nobody cares about him. The booking has failed him, just like throwing AJ Styles 40 wins out of 50-ish did nothing for one of the best wrestlers in the world. They don't book properly anybody. They don't get creative for anybody. They make weird decisions like, oh, take LA Knight to the next level? Nah, let's bury him some more, and let's see what the briefcase does for Damien Priest. How'd that work out Monday? Patience, BC. Damien's just gotten the briefcase. It'll get better. No, it's not. I'm telling you right now, you have to have the connection with the audience first. The briefcase in a title should only come after you've already reached a certain level with the fans and there's a connection, right? You can't just throw titles and briefcases on wrestlers and hope that that's what's going to get them over. That's not how this works. Never was. Never will be. I could go another hour on that. I have so many examples of this company thinking that they can throw a title and a Money in the Bank briefcase or the term King of the Ring. That's why I can't stand King of the Ring. These have all just been pay-per-views and scenarios where they're just taking somebody who's barely above jobber status in terms of connection with the fans anyway. And they're just throwing these obnoxious titles on them. King of the Ring has become something where Baron Corbin is walking around with a robe and a scepter and a crown. Baron Corbin. King Xavier. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank. This is no shade at all. And I feel she's actually a decent wrestler. Carmella is winning Money in the Bank. Miz is cashing in briefcases. By the way, Amplified Miz recently is the best Miz. I hope we keep Amplified Miz. But the Miz we've gotten for years, he's cashing in Money in the Bank. And you guys can think of so many more examples. Titles going on people that, what are they doing with a championship? And they truly think that by doing that, that's going to take them to the next level. And it never works. Baron Corbin is in NXT. Xavier Woods, does he even wrestle anymore? Right? Obviously he does. I'm being a little bit in a joking manner. But where are all these kings? Carmella, pregnant at home right now, eating ice cream. Congratulations, by the way. Hopefully that all goes well, people with you and Corey. But she's at home pregnant. A lot of people don't fucking remember Carmella. Oh yeah, I forgot about Carmella, BC, sadly. Miz. Money in the Bank passions. Walking around with a briefcase. The fucking Miz. And where is he today? Trying to get respect put on his name by a newcomer, Tommaso Ciampa, to the main roster. I'm just giving you guys some examples. These events, these situations, these titles, these trophies have become jokes. Austin Theory has been walking around with nothing more than a toy trophy right now. He's been walking around with a United States Championship that is no more relevant than the toy title in aisle 5 of Target. We don't remember the U.S. title at any of these shows. We don't remember Austin Theory. We forget about the dude until it's brought up and people go, oh, Austin Theory, forgot about him. Wait, doesn't he have a title? These are real conversations whenever you bring up Austin Theory. These are very real. It's done, guys. The experiment has failed. Let's blame him, but you ready? Let's have an exercise on the channel. Let's blame two people right now. Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Paul Levesque McMahon. That's right, I'm adding the McMahon to Paul Levesque. Since he kisses enough ass, he deserves the title. He gets the name McMahon. How's that? He already sees himself as more of a McMahon than Shane and Stephanie anyway. He's the only one that refuses to walk out and away from Vince. Blame Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Paul Levesque McMahon. Austin Theory has failed. It is now time to take the title from him. Guys, you might not want to hear this, and you're going to say, oh, you're going to say this just because he's one of your favorites, basically. You're being biased. But it is time to put that title. If you're not going to let him sniff the world title scene, can you, at the bare minimum, dig him a little bit out of the hole? Can you do what's right, finally, Paul Levesque, and put that damn title on L.A. Knight? Yeah, at SummerSlam. And maybe we can start something. Stone Cold won an IC title from Owen Hart. Horrendously. If you guys remember what happened, I don't want to go back in time to that. That was a scary situation for Stone Cold, and I feel so bad for Owen Hart. But he won the IC title when he was getting hot. Not right to the world title, so there is scenarios. We can still try to put the train at least near the track. Paul Levesque can still try to pick up the pieces of the mistakes he made from WrestleMania to LA Knight at Money in the Bank, at SummerSlam. Can we stop the Austin Theory charade? It's a short build. It'll probably be a lackluster feud because this didn't start a month ago. But you got 4 weeks from this Saturday until SummerSlam. Can you start LA Knight, Austin Theory? Can you give that damn fucking title? Can you get it off of Austin Theory? It has failed. And can you put it on somebody who is ready to go to the next level? Who's already beyond Austin Theory. Just nobody will help him get to the next level. He just needs that little bit of a push. The machine has to give him a little bit to get to the next level. He's doing everything else on his own. Can you just do what's right finally? Stop saying fuck you to the fans just to be stubborn and to smirk at us. And to think you got one over on us. And to teach your own talent a lesson. Because that's what Paul Levesque said. The reason why he didn't win at Money in the Bank, LA Knight is going to learn that good things come to those that wait. You tell that to your kids. Good things come to those that wait. This is a wrestler for you, a grown man, a 40-year-old grown man, and you're telling him good things come to those that wait. Stop being weird, dude. Put some gold on him. Put some respect on the dude's name. Give him that little bit of a push. He'll do everything else. He's been saying it in interviews. He doesn't need the company to even put the rocket on his back. He'll strap the rocket to his own back. But just bump him that one little bump and he'll be on his way. Do what's right at SummerSlam, man. I'm speaking for the majority of fans. Of course, there's some, especially it's just tried and true Austin Theory fans. No, man, let's just keep the title on him, man. He's this close, BC. I really feel he's about to break out. No, the John Cena thing and Edge and everybody putting him over, they took a big gamble. It failed. They tried. I said that when Roman was a face and Undertaker put him over. At that point, I believe Undertaker had just lost to like maybe Brockton Lesnar at Mania. And then he lost to Roman. And I was like, I wouldn't have done that. Roman will never get over until he's a heel. And up until that point, Vince just refused. Finally, Joe Anoa'i walked in with Paul Heyman, and they made sure that it was changed. And then he finally got over with everybody. But at that time, I don't know what Undertaker was thinking, because I was right. It did not do anything for Roman afterwards. In fact, it just got him booed even more, and Vince still refused to really turn him heel, so he was even more lost. He says that in interviews, man. Joe Anoa'i, Roman Reigns. He said, it got to a point I was just fully lost. The company was lost. We didn't know where we were going. The Undertaker thing just blew it wide open. Then it was really, it didn't do anything. It was negative. To the point where I went away and I said, dude, when I come back, I have to change. I mean, you should never put your talent in that situation where they feel lost with their booking and where they are as a character. The Undertaker thing baffled me. Undertaker took a gamble. It failed. This whole heel run, nobody's talking about, oh, remember when Roman beat Undertaker? That's why he's over. No, he's over because he became a heel. Same thing with John Cena. Man, I was like, this is too big of a gamble, man. You cannot just put over Austin Theory at Mania. But it was a point. They did it. They set the match up. And even BC was like, well, there's no way. There's no way. You could just have Theory just lose at Mania now. Like, this is just weird to me. Edge in Canada, and there's so many other situations, but they did it. The scary part is I think they did try. They're just not creative. They don't book properly. It failed. It's a failed experiment. We like Austin Theory, most of us. We want the best for him still going forward. But take the title off of him and start from square one. You have to start from scratch. If this is going to work, you gotta literally reset, right? What he did when Paul Levesque took control of him was not a repackaging. It was not a reset. He put the cell phone down. That's all that happened, guys. He was a little bit more angry, I guess. That's not a repackaging. That's not a reset. You're acting like it's Doc Isaac Yankem, who was Kane. Kane was Isaac Yankem. Now that's a repackaging, right? or fucking the mysterious Woods Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, and the Fiend. Now that's a repackaging, right? Mean Mark Calloway to the Undertaker. Now that's a repackaging. Demolition Smash to the Repo Man. You know, there's so many of these repackagings. Those are real. This guy put down a cell phone. His puss face was a little bit more pussified. That's not a repackage. Now you really have to reset. And it's one more go. I said this about Lacey Evans. How many resets are you going to attempt? How many times are you going to try this, and this before you just realize this doesn't work? You know, all these times you see all these releases and budget cuts. You never want to see somebody lose their job, but how many times is the machine going to get behind somebody that the fans are not fully behind? And they're going to keep ruining everybody in the process to try to get this one person that they hand chose. And it doesn't work. Charlie Flair, since she's been on the main roster, has been handpicked by Vince and Paul Levesque. And it's failed. There's still to this day, the majority of the fans do not connect with Charlie Flair, no matter how many hiatuses she goes on, no matter how many championships she holds. There's no connection with the fans. Roman Reigns, until he turned heel, the machine tried everything. How many WrestleManias? How many times to beat The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and everybody else? And it didn't work with Roman Reigns. Austin Theory, and so many others. When the company handpicks somebody and says, fuck you to the fans, you're going to deal with it, it backfires. It never works. Listen to the fans. You're trying to push Austin Theory and Damien Priest and others. We like them. We want the best for them. Book them properly. Don't throw titles and briefcases on them. Give those to the people that are already over so they can get to the next level. It's not that hard. Just like Cody was ready to rock, take him to the next level. Instead, he's still right here, and he's even going a little bit lower, Cody Rhodes is. He's starting to feel average again. LA Knight, same thing. This company's got it ass backwards. They're putting titles, briefcases, in robes and scepters and crowns on people like Baron Corbin, Miz, Damien Priest, Austin Theory. What do they all have in common? The majority of the fans don't give a fuck about them. Putting a toy or an accessory with them is not going to make us go, whoa, Baron's got a crown? I got to buy a ticket and his merch now. Miz has the briefcase? Whoa, Money in the Bank is now my favorite pay-per-view. Austin Theory's got the U.S. title. Guys, I gotta buy the next pay-per-view. Theory's not even on it? Oh, okay. Well, when he is, let me know, man, because I gotta get it. Gotta see Austin Theory's next title defense. Nobody's saying that. Meanwhile, Cody Rhodes, who was the most over guy in the company, is, again, if you take away Sethington's sing-along, because before that, nobody cared about fucking Seth anyway. Cody Rhodes, the most over guy, and he's average as fuck right now. Fucking around with Brock Lesnar all summer. With no reason, by the way. No reason there's no storyline reasoning. And LA Knight, who's the other super over guy, he's losing even after Money in the Bank to Rey Mysterio at a live event. It's over, guys. We have to stop this. Listen to the fans. Yes, more fickle than ever before are fans today, but you still gotta roll with it. It's not a failure. Kofi Mania was not a failure, right? We all were on board with that, and we all knew it had to happen. Kofi get the title. That's legit. That had to happen. And then you book them properly. Kofi, his booking failed him. Fans didn't just get fickle with Kofi. We still love Kofi. Do you guys remember the booking once he got the title? They fucking just left him. They were like, all right, bye. Wait, what? Every time the fans speak out, we're right. Rocky Maivia was never going to work. We said, you got to change this dude. He became The Rock. That was because of us. Roman Reigns became what he became because of us. We were not buying this goofy, face-smiling Roman Reigns being pushed down everybody's throat. You got the Roman you got because of us. Stone Cold. Bye-bye, Ringmaster. Hello, Stone Cold. We told Vince this is the way to go. We were right. Daniel Bryan in the Yes Movement, one of the biggest fucking movements we've ever seen in wrestling. We were right. Vince tried against that for so long, but we were right. We would never take back that WrestleMania 30 moment, one of the most epic moments of all time in wrestling history. We're always right. We were right about Cody, they just didn't want to go that way. We were right about LA Knight, they just didn't want to go that way. Under Paul Levesque, something tragic is happening. He doesn't give a fuck what the fans think, and he thinks that just by struggle and adversity, they're going to get super over. Maybe if booking was flawless in this company, possibly. It's nowhere near. That's why I said it's Cody or bust at Mania, because I said, guys, even if you think struggle, adversity, and all this other stupid shit that I've never heard before in wrestling, by the way, but okay, let's just say that's what Cody needed. You're not thinking ahead. You're giving this company the benefit of the doubt. Never do that. They'll fail you every time. And they did. Let's all just agree, man. Even if you are an Austin Theory fan, don't you want the best for him? It starts by going back from scratch. Take the title off of this dude. Put it on LA Knight right now. That's what I'd say. But at this point, just get it off of him. And let's try this again. And guys, the truth is, if it doesn't work again, maybe you got to go away. It's not the worst thing. Drew McIntyre went away, and he came back even better. I was hoping, and I'm not talking this last time, I'm talking he was fired. He was called the Chosen One. Basically, just like Austin Theory, Vince McMahon handpicked him, and it failed miserably. Vince McMahon called him the Chosen One, and it failed miserably. He was out of the company not too long after. He came back, and he was so much better. He should be larger than life today, but this is what they do. He's been gone for a few months. He comes back, and he's right back with Gunther going for the mid-card title. Why you would not have him just take out Sethington, turn him heel in the UK? Imagine that. And it would really work wonders for a returning Drew. Instead, it feels like the same Drew. In fact, Monday, Drew McIntyre is tag teaming with Matt Riddle, Scooter McGee to take on Imperium. How does that excite anybody? It's the same goofy Drew now. But before this, when he originally came back, he was 8 billion times better. He even won the world championship at WrestleMania. The Chosen One, Drew, he was never going to get that unless he left WWE. So it's not the worst thing if Theory has to go find who he really is as a character elsewhere. But so far, we had to have this discussion. We have to. Austin Theory, guys, even if you love the dude, it's failed. I gave it time. I didn't want to have this discussion. It is now July. SummerSlam is 4 weeks from Saturday. Can we stop acting like everything is hunky-dory with Theory? Can we stop acting like it'll be fine, just have more patience? It ain't working, bro. He is more in obscurity and irrelevancy than ever before, with a winning streak that not many wrestlers on this roster have seen in years. That's a problem. It's done. I won't beat on a dead horse here. That's the conversation that need to be had. I hope you guys understand how fair that was. I hope you feel how fair that was, man. I'm putting Vinnie Mac to blame where that was just due, and I'm putting a hell of a lot on Paul Levesque for the last several months especially. So I'm hoping they do the right thing. But with this company, usually it's the opposite. I want to move on. And I appreciate you guys, man. For those of you that listened to this whole conversation that needed to be had, this is a very real convo. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. First of all, I hope that it was a good conversation. But I hope you understand that how real it is, right? And it goes beyond Austin Theory. The conversation, it's not just about theory, let's be honest, right? This whole conversation we just had, it goes to how WWE books and what they do with their titles and their briefcases and how they look at that and how they truly feel that that's going to get people over. Meanwhile, the people that are over, they're actually fucking them over. Booking them bad or in losing streaks doesn't help them. I appreciate you guys very much, man. Before I get to the super thankses, I have another story that I would like to discuss. Logan Paul Ricochet. If you guys caught Money in the Bank, you saw a horrible botch. BC was live. I was live with my amplified unit during that whole show. It was a live reaction, live watch along, and review. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And I was actually scared for Logan Paul and a little bit Ricochet, but I thought Logan Paul maybe snapped his neck. I don't know. It looked really bad. They were falling from the ladder. They were supposed to land on the ropes, and according to Logan Paul, it was supposed to be a Spanish fly, and it just botched, and he's totally blaming Ricochet, by the way. These are truthful words. He's going to push a story because at SummerSlam, we expect it to be Logan Paul versus Ricochet. So Logan Paul is definitely trying to push for, he's going to sell this. But if you listen to his words, I mean, he's not holding any lies in his statement. Everything in his statement is nothing but true. Because you go back and watch, it's exactly what happened. But they fell off the ladder, they go to the top rope, supposed to be a Spanish fly. Now, this is how Logan Paul calls it. And I'll try to get the full... If I can get the full quote, that'll be best. Because this is how he... This is how he saw it when he was coming down from the ladder and he was going to land on the top rope. He says, and I quote, he doesn't say, and I quote. You know why? Because I don't have the quote right now. Hold on. I'm not breaking this up, guys. I'm not doing any more editing than I'm going to need to do. So we are going to stay with this right now, man. I lost the... Okay, I got it. Thank goodness, man. I was like, I just had it, bro. I know it's early in the morning. I'm still on my first coffee, but come on, bro. All right, I got it, guys. I lost it for a second. This is a quote by Logan Paul. You saw there was a botched move in the Money in the Bank ladder match. There was a botched move with a dangerous landing. I walked away this time relatively unscathed. I got some scrapes and bruises, but no major tweaks or pulls. But Ricochet and I were supposed to do what's called a Spanish fly off of the top rope. So one of our legs is on the rope, one of our legs is on the ladder. And we were supposed to hit it at the same time. And when he hit the rope, Ricochet, it was before me. So he moved it. So then I slipped down all the way to the bottom. Keep in mind, I'm a noob. I don't really know what I'm doing out there. So when stuff goes wrong, I don't really know how to improv. So in my head, I'm like, how is this guy? This is fucked. We fucked it up. He says, how is this guy going to possibly do this now? Is he even going to try to do this? Our legs are all twisted up at this point. I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker is still trying to send this shit. I'm not even ready at this point. His feet aren't even planted. off the second rope, just hawks a backflip. I'm like, all right. We went crashing through the tables. I scraped my shoulder. I hit my head on the ring. Or I hit my head on the thing. I don't know what thing. Barricade, hit table maybe. He says, I'm fine. No concussions or anything like that. But it's just a wild sport, man. I don't know what I'm doing, he admits. He says, I'm going to be honest, though. He blew the fucking match for me. So, again, guys, they're setting up a match for SummerSlam. I truly feel that way. We just saw them brawling after this match, supposedly, and they showed it on Raw. So, you can say, well, BC, he's just selling the match. There's no question. But if you listen to his podcast, or because he did this with Roman, he was selling the Roman match and the Sethington match, but there was just nothing but truth in what he was saying. He wasn't holding back. I think Paul Levesque is really big on Logan Paul. So I think Paul Levesque just said, you know what, it's your podcast, just talk truth. Talk your truth. We'll work it into the storyline. So Logan Paul, that's all he really knows how to do. Just talk, speak. And so all of this is very real. If you go back and watch it, how he explained it is actually what happened. That's how you know there's no BS here. And I'm not blaming Ricochet per se. I'm just saying he is right. Everything he said is how it actually went down. So he was thinking, well, we can't go now because you're going to fuck it up. I mean, your feet aren't even planted, he said, so you don't want to injure her, right? I mean, that's what I was told. If you're not actually planted or set, don't try anything. You're just going to injure yourself and somebody else. And Ricochet's just like, fuck it! Logan Paul says, I'm a noob. I don't know what I'm doing out there still. He admits that at least. I don't know if that's a good thing. Should you be in the ring if you don't know what you're doing? That's why it's never a good thing to be thrown to the wolves. But so far, in singles matches with Roman and with Sethington, he's been flawless. It shows you he should have never been in the Money in the Bank ladder match, guys. He never should have been in that match. He doesn't work well with so many others. I mean, to throw him into a circus, Paul Levesque, that's a fucked up thing to do for somebody that you actually like, just to put him on the card. He says, I'm going to be honest, he blew the fucking match for me. And that's real talk from Logan, because Logan, up to this point, he's been going on his social after his matches with Roman and Sethington, and the world is talking about how amazing he was. He's not used to going on that social and going, oh, he botched, he fucked up. Maybe he's not cut out for it. He didn't like that. So he said he blew the fucking match. His leg, we were supposed to hit at the same time. He hit first. And then I wasn't even planted. He wasn't planted. And he just said, let's fucking do it anyway. I wasn't ready. He fucked up the match for me. Guys, if you think that's just him just trying to sell a match, you don't know enough about Logan Paul. I knew not a damn thing about this dude till he got to WWE. Once I found out his podcast, what he says, and how he doesn't BS, and that's how he sells his matches, this is how he feels. Ricochet fucked it all up for him. Now, in all of this, I gotta give Ricochet some props. The dude just said, let's rock. If this was anybody else, maybe they would still do the Spanish Fly. But because Logan Paul says, I'm a newbie, I still don't know what I'm doing out there, Ricochet was giving him a little too much credit, like he's been doing this for 10 years. So Ricochet was just like, all right, we botched a little, but I'm still on the top rope. Let's rock. And Logan's like, let's not rock. Ricochet, to his credit, he was still ready to go. Ricochet forgot. You're only as good as the dancing partner you're dancing with. You got to remember how new Logan is, man. At that point, you got to call an audible and just... Man, I don't know. That was Ricochet's audible, right? It wasn't really a Spanish Fly. It was just a fucking hawk hip toss. I guess that was Ricochet's audible. What was Logan's audible going to be anyway if they didn't pull it off? I guess Logan was just going to stay in the ring, kind of jump off and clothesline Ricochet? Was Ricochet just going to jump off the outside and clothesline Logan, punch him? I don't blame Ricochet at all, guys. This is just an unfortunate botch. There's some botches in wrestling that it's just because the wrestler sucks, or they just made just a horrible call, a horrible move. They just fucked up flat. This was just a little bit of a mistiming, guys, that just fucked up what could have been and should have been a really good spot. I don't blame anybody here, especially not Ricochet. And I don't blame Ricochet for doing what he did afterwards and trying to do the hip toss that was supposed to be a Spanish fly. There's not really blame to pull here. I don't know what the audible would have been, but this is making headlines, so I wanted to discuss it now before I start getting asked 1,000 times. BC, what do you think about what Logan said to Ricochet? That's how he feels, you know? He fucked up the match for him, but nobody really fucked it up. It was a botch. Both did not land on the same time. Ricochet landed first. Okay, you could easily say that Logan should have been a little quicker to the top rope, right? Because this was obviously rehearsed. Ricochet got himself back on the top rope. Logan struggled to do such. And then I think if you watch it back, Ricochet was waiting for Logan. Logan was trying to get back to the top. Ricochet started to fall off at the tail end. And that's when Ricochet just threw Logan Paul. So maybe that could have been I don't know, man. Unless you're in that position, I can do nothing more than say I respect the shit out of both of them for trying to turn chicken shit into chicken salad. Trying to turn a pile of garbage into gold. That's what they at least tried to do. It was scary. I thought both of them would snap their necks. Logan Paul is not holding back, though, man. So that could make this match at SummerSlam much more special. Let Logan Paul keep talking that shit. Piss off Ricochet some more. Maybe we'll all give a shit about this match more than just how athletic it will be. It'll be a good match. Maybe there'll be a good story on top of it. Logan Paul scathingly calling out Ricochet for the botch and for ruining the match. Guys, one awesome podcast. I said at the beginning of this, I wasn't really in the best of moods. No sleep. I haven't had a coffee before this. It's early. And we have to have a real discussion that none of us want to have, but it's a real discussion that needed to be had with the Austin Theory, U.S. title, LA Knight situation, and all of that. And just the bigger problem in WWE. So I'm glad we had this conversation. It's actually been one of my, as far as just conversational, this is probably one of my favorite podcasts we've ever recorded. So I want to end it the right way, man, and give a shout out to a bunch of my Amplified Unit members that threw BC a coffee in yesterday's podcast upload. It was the Amped Up podcast featuring the Monday Night Raw review. Even though it was July 4th in the States, I still put up that podcast Raw review. And you guys in the super thanks button down below threw BC a coffee. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge every single one of you guys. And I want to start with Stegmeister with that 10 spot. Ash Stegmeister says, looks like the only two things that was acceptable on Raw was Rhea versus Natty and Shayna's promo to Ronda. The rest, same shit, different week. Yeah, Natty pulled out a breakthrough performance. We always knew she could wrestle, though. Vince knows that. Paul Levesque knows that. We all know that. That's why she's been reduced to just working with all the ladies that are just coming into the roster or filling up a pay-per-view here and there. And that's sad. She should have been much more than just reduced to a farting gimmick. You guys remember that? If you don't, I don't blame you. You probably told you subconsciously you tried to forget about it. But we always knew she could wrestle like that. We know Rhea Ripley could go. And that was good. That's something you give Paul Levesque his credit, right? That's what I mean. That's Paul Levesque saying, all right, go out there and have a wrestling match. We're going to give you time over, one or two at least commercial breaks. We're not going to have a 2-minute roll-up match, right? That was Paul Levesque. Problem is nothing still derives from it. At least that got people talking. Most of these long wrestling matches, it's just wrestler A versus wrestler B. You get longer wrestling, okay. Nobody cares about it, so in some aspects, we're even more bored. At least with the 2-minute roll-ups, we can just yell our frustration. What the fuck? That was for 2 minutes for a fruit roll-up finish? You know, but with Paul Levesque, 12, 15, 17-minute matches with people that... What are we doing? Nobody cares about this. But this was one of those things that, a lot of people were saying, wow, man, Natty, she can wrestle. You think? The other thing, Stegmeister, that everyone was talking about was the Shayna Baszler promo. People are praising this a bit too much, I feel. Yes, it was good because of the reality of it, right? She was saying a lot of things that fans were thinking. That's the reason she was saying it. Some people thought it was a shoot. People were like, BC, that was a shoot, bro. She was just speaking, man, and Ronda didn't know what she was going to say. Ronda was like, what? WWE was like, whoa. No, guys, that was all planned out. Shayna's not good enough on the mic. No shade to her. She's just not. That was all planned out. They're best friends in real life. Everything was way planned. They want to make this real. Now, that's my problem with this. As much as that was easily Shayna's best promo for what she was saying, the believability and the reality in it was not there for BC. If you go back, you look at her expressions on her face, the believability wasn't there. And then Ronda's believability, she gets knocked out, and then in like 6 seconds, she just like wakes up and starts yelling, please come back, Shayna. So the believability with these two is what is hindering them the most. So everybody's praising the Shayna promo. Man, there was a lot of negative that I saw in it as well. But I'll take the positive and hope that it blooms into something special going forward into SummerSlam. Stegmeister. Salute, brother. Dante Jaron 23 with a 2-spot super thanks coffee. In yesterday's Raw Review Amped Up podcast. Dante Jaron 23. Salute, brother. Thanks, BC. You helped me realize why I'm not intrigued by nonsensical matches, which we were just talking about, by the way. I'm not a wrestling nerd, says Dante Jaron 23. Salute. I made that statement in yesterday's podcast. We love pro wrestling, but some of us are just wrestling nerds, and others are not. I'm not a wrestling nerd. Some people don't like that, right? They want me to be a wrestling nerd. That's just not me. We're going to talk about the facts and what needs to happen, should happen, what's right, what's wrong. Dante Jaron 23 says, thanks, BC. You helped me realize I'm not intrigued by nonsensical matches. I'm not a wrestling nerd. I want good storytelling, storylines along with the match. That's funny because we were just saying that, man, about Triple H. He'll give you longer matches, but there's nothing on the line. There's no care for the individuals involved. In fact, both shouldn't be in the match because one has to lose and they shouldn't be. And then after the match, nothing develops storyline-wise that would make us care about anything going on after the fact. So Dante Jaron 23 is like, I need storyline with the match. And we don't get that, right? Even when you see Wrestler A versus Wrestler B in a long match, you say, okay, maybe it'll lead to a story with I don't know. So there has to be a reason, right? There is none. It's just a wrestling match on a wrestling show. Imagine that. Pro wrestling is more than just a match. Dante Jaron 23. It's good to know there's still people out there that understand the foundation that wrestling was built upon, the core of pro wrestling. Dante Jaron 23. I appreciate the coffee. More importantly, appreciate your support, brother. Merge with a 2-spot super thanks coffee in yesterday's Amped Up podcast. Thanks for your badass input and intelligent reviews, BC. I have a theory about Schnoz McGee in relation to what WWE, AEW Marvel fan, and TV Tony said. That was from the podcast before. There was a super thanks. And I went over WWE, AEW Marvel fan, and a response from TV Tony in that same super thanks. So Merge is saying I have a theory about Schnoz McGee and that super thanks. It feels to me like the Schnoz doesn't push anyone that he feels might eclipse him. He's always secretly hated that people barely mention him when talking about the Attitude Era. It's mostly Stone Cold and The Rock, and it explains why he's such a surpass. Merge, you're absolutely correct. You know, somebody brought up Booker T just the other day, and let's use that as an example of Paul Levesque not liking people eclipsing him. WCW. He always felt a certain way that he wasn't the guy in WCW, and he was just a guy. He always tried to get in good with Ric Flair and Sting, and they didn't want anything to do with him. He finally got Flair to be in his faction when Flair later on in life went to WWF/E and Evolution, and he brought in Sting, who was the guy in WCW when Paul Levesque was in WCW. Sting was the guy. He brought him in to WrestleMania, WWE, and he beat Sting 1-2-3 at WrestleMania. Booker T, a massive WCW guy, former world champion in WCW. He beat him at WrestleMania. He made sure to beat all the WCW guys on the grandest stage so they all know, so the company knows that it was not bigger than H. And that's a time where Booker T, if you guys remember, should have not just won that match over Triple H, if you guys remember everything that was going on around that time, but Booker T should have been at the next level. Do you guys know why Booker T never did? Paul Levesque stopped him. He was in this big feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, fighting in the supermarket. They were fighting in churches. Guys, real story. I'm not even kidding. They were chasing each other in trucks and vehicles. It was a really fun storyline, and it never culminated at a pay-per-view. Years later, we found out why. Paul Levesque did not want Booker T pushed. And he was right there in Vince McMahon's ear. Booker T is just one of many. Paul Levesque has had a golden shovel, and he has buried probably over 50 superstars, I would say. 50 wrestlers. Easily. That's a podcast for another day. But Booker T, man, it's very sad what happened to him. Paul Levesque totally screwed him in a way where nobody should ever have somebody do that, man. Man up. To totally derail Booker T and then go behind his back and make sure he doesn't get pushed afterwards. And Booker T was so good, he pushed himself. But there was a just like I say about LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, and everyone else, there's only so far they can go if the company doesn't give them a little bit. I mean, he's one of those guys that made King Booker into a fucking actual king we cared about, not like a Corbin or a Woods. Anyway, Merge, you are oh so right, man. I appreciate the coffee. I appreciate you up in here, man, talking common sense and logic. Leo with a 2-spot. Super thanks coffee in yesterday's podcast upload. BC, you the man. Ever since I was little, always liked heels better. I also like Jinder Mahal, and people always make fun of me for this, but I love Baron Corbin. He can actually play a good dominant heel if they give him good booking. Now, I've been picking on Corbin a little bit in this podcast, but Leo, you said it, man. If given good booking. I'll give you guys a little bit of this to show you how consistent I am, right? I won't contradict myself at all on this. You guys remember Broke Baron? As much as I've been picking on Baron Corbin and not getting over, Broke Baron I was on board with. I liked Broke Baron Corbin. His fucking button-down shirt was misplaced button-wise. His third button was where the fifth one is. His middle two are fucking totally not even buttoned. Mustard on his shirt. He looks disheveled. He's trying to get $1 from anybody that would walk by him. That was fun. Storyline-wise, character-wise, creatively. BC is a creator. Man, if I was creating for Broke Baron, I had a million things that would have been so fun with Baron Corbin. But you're exactly right, Leo. Could be if given proper booking. How many characters has Baron Corbin had, Leo, in my entire amplified unit? We do this all the time and I lose track. So I keep asking this question. Lone Wolf. There was Lone Wolf. I think he's back to being Lone Wolf. King Corbin. This is not in order, by the way. I'm just trying to think top of my dome piece. How many versions we've had of Baron because none of them work. Lone Wolf, King Corbin, Broke Corbin, Happy Corbin, God, Wrestling God Corbin. Oh man, there was another one. I always stop at 5. There was a 6th version, man. Oh, you guys will probably I know there's another version, man. There was a good 6 or 7 versions of Baron Corbin. I think I just named 5 off the top of my dome piece. And again, I think he just went back to Lone Wolf because there's just no connection. They don't know how to book the guy. But Broke Baron showed me something. He's got something, man. You just got to find it. Leo, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate the coffee. Appreciate the love, respect to the channel. So I believe, man, if there was others, I'm not seeing it up front. I will absolutely get to it in the next podcast, though. But Stegmeister, from what I'm seeing right here, Stegmeister, Dante Jaron, Merge, Leo, man, all those coffees, it's never needed. It's appreciated. You know, the 2 put that down there to tip the content creator. We never asked for that shit. It's almost like super chats on a regular upload. It's a wild concept. But the fact that you guys throw BC Coffees even on these uploads, man, I always have to take the time to just acknowledge you guys, man, and I will make sure that I always do that. I appreciate you guys on a whole nother level. To all my channel members, my Amp Unit Gold members, guys, the list just got updated about a half an hour before we started recording. So I appreciate you guys so much. I will do a full roll call in the near future, man. That's like what we do for the Yankees. If you go to the Bronx, you catch a Yankee game, we always acknowledge every player on the field for the Yankees for that game. It's called a roll call. So I want to do a roll call, man. It's well over 100 individuals that are Amp Unit Gold channel members, but I want to do a roll call soon because, yeah, I think we're overdue. We just had a live stream, members-only chat, but I want to make sure that all you guys, man, all my Gold Card channel members know how much I appreciate you and how much I value you guys. Till next time, guys, and there will be a next time. Top guy, I'm out. This has been the Amped Up Podcast for Wednesday, July the 5th, 2023. Go about your day amplified, because there can be no other way. BC, check you.